He's still showing a lot of respect towards Soaz's Shen, and also they're going to take away the Gnar. So, champions like the Kennen, the Tristana, they're all still available. I think that if you're Fnatic, picking up something like a Tristana would still be fine, but the big thing is we want to see them move away from this Kennen AD carry. We think that it can be easily punished, and we just want to see more winning lanes if you are the Fnatic squad.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You just need to see them across the board, because when you're drafting those losing lanes all across, well, you're not going to have a very good time if your jungler can't get you ahead early on. Now, Vitality have gone ahead and got themselves a strong top laner to kick things off. Cabochard in his comfort zone on the Rumble.
So, Gragas being a high priority still along with the Rumble. I think that these are absolutely fine and safe picks. Nothing really too strange here. Soaz, he's demonstrated good proficiency on the on top lane Gragas multiple times, getting that solo kill down onto Haunter. On top of that, you can flex it into the jungle role. Brox are not typically known for that style of play, but he is a fairly flexible jungler. He's shown a different bunch of styles for a while throughout Europe, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they wanted to give a counter matchup for Soaz later on in the draft.
Yeah, giving them some options on the side of Fnatic and keeping Vitality guessing. On the Vitality side, they go ahead and pick up the Tahm Kench, so it will be tank v tank down to the bottom lane, and this means you can start thinking about pairing it up with some of them hyper carries.
I'd love to see an Ashe or a Varus come out from Vitality. I feel like right now that they're missing some kind of an engage setup, and going for the Jhin means that the sieging power will be extremely strong from Vitality. Something we saw a lot of in spring was the Jhin Rumble combo, where you go up to a turret, you ulti with the Rumble, and then you open up with the curtain call to force people away from that objective, making taking these towers so much easier during the early stages of mid-game.
Oh yeah, it's great on paper for sure, but remember when Steelback played it last, it was less than effective in the damage roll. So maybe we'll see if he does it a little bit differently this time around as the Jarvan gets locked in, and that should reveal that the jungler will in fact be Gragas.
Unless it's mid lane Jarvan. We do know that Caps has brought out Camille in the past, but as you rightly said, I'm expecting it more to go in the top lane. They have seen the Rumble. They're feeling pretty confident, and Fnatic, they've already started to draft themselves a pretty solid team fight composition. Corki is still up and available, along with the Tristana, which could go down in the bottom lane along with the Braum. It would be fine into a Jhin matchup, wouldn't be pressured too hard. But so far things looking fairly even on both sides.
Yeah, I like the Olaf ban from Fnatic too, respecting what Joko can actually get done on that champion, because that is how Vitality have been winning their games. Getting him into the backline, and that CC immunity is something you have to respect. So banning it away now, followed by the Cassiopeia. Vitality not going to give Caps that chance. And we'll see what else they ban to finish off their ban phase 2.
So a few comforts have been taken away from Joko, and what I'd love to see is some kind of an engage coming out from the side of Vitality, because I feel like right now they have decent siege, but they don't have a really reliable way to actually start a fight. Other than the flank that you have with the Tahm Kench, I feel like they need some kind of other front line, and I'd love to see something like I'm a little surprised by the Sivir, but I would like to see some kind of tanky, maybe even a Sejuani coming out from the side of Vitality.
Yeah, that might be the case, but yeah, the Sivir. So we knew Reckless might be looking at some different AD carries, but that was not one that honestly had crossed my mind as the Lucian is locked in for Nuke Duck.
Interesting matchup we are seeing in the middle lane. Nuke Duck has shown time and time again that he is extremely lane dominant. Getting himself the Lucian means that he is guaranteeing himself a strong mid lane matchup, but teams have found answers to it. One of the big issues that you have with the Lucian is his ability to get out-sustained in terms of mana. The nerf that happened quite a while ago means that he's less effective, but there we are. There's that tanky front line. There's the additional CC. Vitality drafting themselves strong early laners, followed by a really good scaling teamfight composition later on into the game.
Yeah, it looks like they got the package deal. Now, how are Fnatic going to round this one out? Is it just going to be Caps on the Syndra? Seems likely.
So one of the big things we really wanted to see for Fnatic was them drafting laners that don't just get pushed around in lane. In the top lane, Jarvan is going to lose out early, but he does have threat with the all-in. Some of the damage did get upped with the changes to Rumble, but now you have to play a lot more around cooldown. So if Cabo tries to push the lane hard, that's the window for Soaz to look to be aggressive, try and shut that down. The fact that Caps has a Syndra means that he can play a little more aggressive, but he doesn't have a huge amount of mobility, and it's something that you always have to respect. And for Sivir, this is one of the best lanes, I feel, right now for Fnatic, because you can just keep pushing the wave. And that's something that Jhin early on doesn't really have, not a huge amount of wave clear. So this could be an opportunity for Fnatic to have a strong bottom lane, a fairly even mid, and then maybe fall behind a little bit in the top just because you're up against your own. But at least it's not 3 losing lanes all across the board.
Yeah, so it's improvement, but I mean, if you have to grade it right now, you're talking about even lanes, maybe getting pushed back everywhere, but in the bottom. How do you give Fnatic's a draft in this time, Vedius?
I think the draft is fine overall. It has decent team finding. It's got good scaling. You have plenty of opportunities to make play in the early game with the Gragas and the Syndra. You have a Braum who's really good at all stages of the game, so as long as he's roaming around the map, you can look to try and make some kind of plays. And if you're Fnatic, I think the big thing for me is them trying to be proactive in the early game and try and challenge that of Vitality, who have typically been a little slow to really get going, even though they often have tools in their kit to do so.
All right, you've heard from us. We want to know what you guys have to say. Hop on Twitter. As always, you want to go to @LOL Esports and tweet out #FNCwin or VITwin, who you think has the comp to take on the victory. Vitality looking to take on a top dog, and Fnatic looking for some redemption after Rift Rivals as we hit Summoner's Rift for game number 1.
Now, I know there are a lot of Fnatic fans in the crowd today. And
it's always a good bet.
For sure, 100% at least one Vitality fan. I saw him repping their brand earlier on. Definitely looking forward to seeing what both these teams can bring out as the fans come out in force. So early game, we talked a lot about it. We wanted to see if Fnatic can be a little bit more proactive, because the big win condition for them is getting Reckless through the laning phase once again. Like, Sivir scales so extremely well, especially in these team fights. The 300 spike is so good for this champion, and she does pretty well into the Jhin as well, because as we talked about, her ability to push early, very, very strong, especially at the level 2, level 3 mark, once she's taken both points in her Q and in her W. So they want to try and make sure that Reckless can either get ahead or at the very least get through a laning phase without being shut down too hard. Now for Vitality, they too have a pretty good scaling comp, but the big caveat for them is this Lucian. Very reliant on getting an early lead. He is a little bit of a snowball champion. He wants to be putting a lot of pressure in the middle lane. So I'd love to see Joko make an early appearance, very similar to what Trick did in the G2 series, where they just burn an early flash, maybe even burn an early heal, so that Nukeduck can look to play more aggressive, and that gives him freedom to then either move around the map with his jungler to try and shut down this bottom lane.
All right, well, we'll definitely have to keep an eye where Joko takes this Sejuani to kick things off. A little bit of help from Nukeduck on the Raptor camp, and they're off to the races. But with the dual laners of Fnatic already down in the bottom side, and you can see the hyper leash, the super leash, as it were, on the red. Steelback and Vander giving this one over. They are putting all their eggs in the Joko basket.
Yes, they certainly are. I wonder where he's going to go with this super leash. Looks like he's just going to do a fairly standard start. He will be extremely healthy. To just talk a little bit more about Sejuani, we did see her in the G2 series earlier on in the week up against Splice. And in that series, the great thing about Sejuani is her late game utility. The amount of CC that she provides in fights is absolutely massive. But also her early jungle clear is actually pretty solid because of her passive. She gets passive armor and magic resistance, really helps her clear speed. She doesn't fall that low, and it makes it difficult for the enemy jungler to try and invade.
Absolutely. We'll see where she ends up going, but I want to go back to a point you talked about at the very beginning of picks and bans, what we wanted to see differently out of Fnatic. This is a very different AD carry style. Reckless playing on a pushing AD as Sivir. Obviously, it's going to scale well. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage, but we don't expect to see that side lane. This seems like a grouping type of champion. This evolution, I really like this from Fnatic, but how well do you think they're going to be able to execute it?
Well, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, because both teams, really explosive team fight compositions. The way in which they execute is a little bit different, but the reality is both these teams want to be grouping. They're going to have good side wave control. Make sure that they set up vision so they can get these kind of frags. So we see an early gank mid from Broxah.
All right, Brox is coming on in, looks for Nukeduck, who has to burn both his flash and his heal to get out of harm's way, but he's able to stay safe for now.
So we wanted to see an early pressure mid from Joko, but Broxah does the exact opposite on his side. He knows that Nukeduck wants to try and snowball early. He knows he wants to try and pressure hard in this lane. And now that both summoners have been burnt for Nukeduck, Caps can freely look to play more in the face of Nukeduck, look for those more aggressive trades, and push back this early game Lucian.
Well, Nukeduck has definitely been an X factor for this Vitality squad in their recent wins. I mean, Vitality has been on an upward trend, but it's worth remembering that they have been taking out teams that have been lower in the standings. Fnatic is a different beast. Rift Rivals performance aside, it's going to be difficult for them. Fnatic clearly are looking to come right back strong as Joko does make a visit to the mid lane, but everyone's a little too low to fight.
It's really important that Joko is hanging around the mid too, because in the event that Broxah comes into the lane, and then looks for another gank onto Nukeduck, at least then the jungle support is there. So this will force Caps back. He's already low. Nukeduck can help get the push so that he can go back to base, probably buy himself some lifesteal to work towards that plate. As a flash comes in.
Oh, Broxah looking forward. It's going to be first blood over to Caps now. And Joko's got an Arctic retreat back to the tower.
So, Nukeduck, he was thinking that with the presence of his jungler, the risk of Broxah coming in for a gank was low. But Broxah saw the window. He gets the flash body slam down onto Nukeduck. And with the damage from Caps and no summoner spells, that results in first blood going over to Fnatic.
All right, so off to a good start for Caps in this mid lane right now. And, well, he had his tier list, Caps did. He put Nukeduck in the second place, but numero uno is always going to be Caps, and right now he's showing up big with a little help from his jungler. Yeah.
That's the key point there, Pyra. He definitely had a bit of help from his jungler, but it's very smart helping the Syndra out, making sure that she is the dominant factor in this 1v1, and how Broxah can look to spread that love across to the other lanes as he makes his way top.
Yep, Cabochard being moved in on by Soaz. Broxah is going to be all over the place. He does manage to get the belly bop, throws down the barrel. It's going to be flashed up by Cabochard, still on level 5. He is unable to really respond with a whole lot of damage.
And this is one of the big weaknesses that you see from Sejuani. She's not typically considered an early game jungler. She has the mobility from her Q, but you really need that in the actual gank setup. And you're very reliant on getting a lot of those passive stacks from her E to be able to get the freeze down. But without teammates, without proper setup, without drawn out fights, that's really difficult to do. Whereas Gragas, he just rolls into your lane, he bops you, he slows you, and as long as you have enough damage with the other laners, it's very easy to get a summoner spell. But Joko trying to answer in the bottom lane to very little success.
Yep. Joko is trying to be around the map right now, and this is something that, honestly, we had some critique for him in the middle of the split, that he just wasn't really having the same level of early game impact that we saw him do early on. But of course, Vitality weren't getting wins anyways, so it still wasn't really enough for them to do it. He's making himself known, but he's not really able to get much done, and I feel like he needs that level 6 before he can be truly effective.
Yeah, that's really where we'll see Joko start to have much more of an impact. As you rightly said, early on he was known for being this early game powerhouse involved in so many of Vitality's first bloods, but a lot of these comfort junglers were banned away. The Olaf, the Kha'Zix taken off him. So now he's gone on to what the team needs. Is Vander taking a lot of damage.
Oh boy, he didn't walk towards the tower. He throws the exhaust onto Reckless, but that's a boomerang blade, and now they send a few more autos his way. As Reckless yet to back right now, still sitting on the Doran's blade. His Steelback had already gone back once and twice. Gets himself that big BF sword.
Very greedy there from Vander, I feel. He wanted to try and freeze the wave for his AD carry so that he could get more farm. Instead, it ended up costing him a summoner spell. And he ended up losing the majority of the wave anyway. So net loss there in favor of Fnatic, as they will be rushing the BF sword. So I'm curious as to whether or not Reckless will go for an early Essence Reaver into something like a Static Shiv and then Infinity Edge, or he looks to just rush the Infinity Edge and then he goes to the double proc build, which is the Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon. You have a bit of variation with the Sivir, but regardless, you're always going to hit hard once you hit that 3-item spike.
Yep. Still on that 7.13 patch. So the itemization is more options available, I would say. Not just going to be speccing into a single thing. All right, Joko moving in on his red buff. There's a lot of Fnatic wards, though, creeping into this jungle right now around the Dragon Pit. Jesus has been a part of that as he places one behind it. We haven't talked so much about the Dragon because it is the Mountain Drake. A little beefier, hard for teams to really sneak around, but it has just been standard laning. Fnatic trying to push strong in all 3 lanes, and they've honestly been doing a good job of it.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that it's a little difficult, slightly harder to take because it is the mountain, but also these are 2 scaling compositions. Trying to force a fight right now could be a little dangerous, so they're just going to focus on the laning phase, take things slow, no need to rush anything, and Brox is just going to roam around the map, look for kind of any picks if he sees an opportunity. Summoner spells are just about to come back for Nukeduck in terms of his flash, but I think that vision point that you made is really crucial because, as you rightly said, you can just see it slowly creeping into the half of Vitality's map. Broxah is really having so much more control over the map compared to what Joko's able to do. And not only will this mitigate a lot of Joko's freedom to try and utilize his level 6 spike, but also it's going to give Broxah a lot of information to minimize the threat of a counter gank coming out from Joko and even contest things like this blue.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive right now. And Nukeduck, he's going all the way in. Oh, the Frost Bola narrowly is avoided here. Let's see, Broxah Caps. They're going to be able to steal away this blue buff right now, and that was a little bit of a hectic moment, but Fnatic, they keep on pushing, they keep on pushing. Vitality don't seem to have the answers.
So I feel like Caps, he got a little greedy there and trying to clear out that control ward. And very deep into the side of Vitality's jungle. Joko saw the opportunity, threw out the ulti, and if Caps didn't flash, he very likely could have lost his life. So I think the flash was necessary, and just a bit of an overstay there from Caps. Now Joko looking for a return gank in the middle lane.
He might get punished for that lack of flash right now, although he does push himself a little far back as Nuke Duck got the double tap on. Joko ultless now, but the Colin comes out and Joko gets pushed right on back by the Scout of the Week, but Nuke Duck is still able to finish the channel of the Calling. It's not enough to finish off Cap's health bar. Meanwhile, back up top, Soaz looking for Cabo Shard because he knows that Broxa is coming. There's the red carpet. It is a welcome here for the Fnatic jungler. As Soaz has to flash away, the minion's still on him, but Broxa's gonna tag his way in, gets a belly bop, throws down the barrel, and another one to finish the kill.
Cabo's like, that's not fair. I was gonna win the 1v1. Let's see if Joko can remedy it.
No mana on Broxa, so he really can't respond here. Gets slowed down for just a second, but Joko's still a little late to the party here.
And Broxa comes out with a successful gank while Joko falls short once more. Yes, he gets the heal out of Caps, but it costs you an exhaust on the side of Nuke Duck. They're trying to be more active now that they have the level 6 spike, but it's always going in the favor of Fnatic. And so as he knows his jungler is coming, but I don't think he quite expects the damage output here from Cabo Shard. Notice that he's going to be in the overheat. Those basic attacks are going to be doing a lot of damage. This will force the flash out from Soaz, but then he feels confident that his jungler can just come in and say, hey, you know what, you need to cool down a little bit, have a drink. But it seems that Cabo couldn't quite hold it.
Hey man, it's a hot summer. Everybody needs a little bit of time to cool down, that's for sure. But Cabo Shard finding out the hard way. You can't always take the 1v1 when there's going to be friends around. And it's nice to see Fnatic making these proactive plays, matching the pressure that Vitality were bringing out. It's exactly what we talked about in the beginning of the game. We want to see less passivity, more proactive plays, even in a scaling composition.
And because Fnatic are always coming out ahead in the play, it's slowing down Vitality just that bit. Nuke Duck is not snowballing in the middle lane, but he is holding his own for the time being. Cutlass has been completed. He has a level advantage over Caps, and he's equal in farm as Broxa roaming now with Jez's, his main wingman, as he try to get some deep vision.
Yeah, Vander's here though to try and push it on back, but man, talk about a guy who has been all over the place. Broxa this game, helping Fnatic's lanes for certain. Now Caps, he's gonna have to dodge out of the Tom Kench. Oh, nice Scout of the Week as the exhaust comes in, but they want to go all on top of him. It's a kill of Ice and Fire as Nuke Duck comes up with a finishing blow, but Joko knocked back into the tower, swallowed up by the Kench. And Vitality making their great escape. I
was about to say clean dive from Vitality, but then Broxa comes in to interrupt that. Fantastic ultimate from him to almost get the kill onto Joko, but Vander is there to keep his jungler alive. They get the kill down onto Caps. Vitality finally punish the flashless Syndra in the middle lane, and they get a kill down onto their superstar Nuke Duck. Notice how they use the Tom Kench ultimate to roam up into the middle lane. Cabo Shard has already made his way down. And just the damage chain, the CC setup, absolutely beautiful way in order to get themselves the kill and get Nuke Duck rolling in this game.
Yeah, recognizing another key win condition. And let's talk about Caps, because at Rift Rivals, he definitely experienced a lot of attention from enemy junglers. The NA guys were on top of him. We didn't see Broxa as much there, but this time around, it seems like they have learned their lesson. They are sending Broxa to the mid a little more regularly.
Yeah, you can see his opponent jungle proximity. That was the amount of time that the enemy jungler spent around the middle lane, and that is exceptionally high. This guy got camped a lot, and as a result, his laning phase really did struggle. Broxa this game is investing so much more time into helping out this mid laner. He's looking for ganks, he's playing around the lane, he acknowledges this is a Syndra, I need to try and get her ahead, and I need to shut down this Lucian. So he has done his best to try and mitigate the pressure, but when you have no flash and you have a Sejuani, there's very little that you can do against that kind of a playmate.
Oh, absolutely. Well, now all our summer spells are all back up, but now we're starting to see the game kick a little bit into higher gear as Soaz finding an open top lane as Cabo Shard had backed away. He is looking to secure that first tower blood. He should be able to do it. One more auto attack, but can he make it out alive? Flag and drag, but Cabo Shard's right behind him with the Flame Spitter flashing forward. Goes for a second one, and he's getting about to overheat. Soaz, he's trying to run away here. He's not got that flash, but he's got one more flag and drag. Cabo Shard just can't do it.
Not quite enough damage coming out from Cabo Shard to secure the kill. Soaz, he gets himself the tower and is able to retreat. There are no other members of Vitality in the top side of the map, so they cannot look to try and trade the tower. Great play from Soaz, not losing any summoner spells, and even getting the flash out of Cabo.
Yeah. And he held on to the TP. That's something that Soaz likes to do when he's under danger right there. As Caps once again finding himself on the other side of a culling. Nuke Duck stepping forward. Has to burn his heal to stay alive. A little low on the health bar. Nuke Duck still got both of his summoner spells. With the Blade of the Ruin King, he's going to be able to tangle just a little bit more effectively and be able to kite it out as well.
So you can see once more, Deep Vision being invested in the bottom half of Vitality's jungle from Fnatic. This indicates that Fnatic are looking to set up a Dragon play, but Vitality are doing the same by sending all these members mid. They want to try and get another gank off onto Caps, as it looks like the fight's happening.
Oh, dodges out the ultimate. Glacial Prison is not going to be able to connect as the teleport comes in from answering Fnatic. Soaz going to get a little behind the 8-ball on that one, but nonetheless, Fnatic still on the charge forward, looking to see if they can pick a target. Nothing doing.
Quick TP from Soaz to deny the follow-up engage from Vitality, but they got what they wanted, which was the flash out from Caps. It didn't cost them anything out aside from their ultimate. And so Vitality, they're feeling pretty confident. The question is, will they go for a Drake as Soaz?
Oh no, they step right back into it, and Soaz says, get in the pit, everybody! Glacial Prison opened up, so is the curtain call, but it's a little too late, as Reckless picks up one, and Caps blows up Nuke Duck. Fnatic down the mid lane.
Fnatic with the classic, sit in the brush, wait for them to overstay, go for the engage, and find the kills. They shut down Nuke Duck, they shut down Vander, now they are poised to take down this tier 1 in the mid.
All right, things have started opening up on this game. 15 minutes on the clock, and the gold lead has been Fnatic, steadily growing as they got that tower first blood. They got first blood, and now they're going to get another tower and look towards that dragon.
And I love the movement from the bottom lane of Fnatic, not sitting there isolating themselves from the rest of the team, not funneling all this farm. Reckless and Jez's join the fray to help the rest of Fnatic find these kills in the middle lane and guarantee themselves the tower. Great CC and great target selection coming out from the side of Fnatic, and Vitality, they're just forced on the back foot, struggling really to find any answers to this kind of pressure.
It's what Fnatic just like to do. They're able to open up a little bit better than Vitality can, just executing on what they want. Strong lanes, of course, but I feel like it has been the difference in how the jungle pressure has been applied this game. It's allowed Fnatic to get more of these wards all through the Vitality jungle, tracking Joko, and just allows them to get an edge in some of these fights when they know he's not always going to be there in time.
But do remember that Vitality still have the ability to win late game team fights. Both these compositions scale extremely well. And while Fnatic right now have the slight edge, Cabochard is doing absolutely fine in his lane. The Jhin now completed the Essence Reaver. Joko still going extremely tanky. They're well on their way to getting to that big mid-game point where they can force a fight against Fnatic and still have the ability to win it.
Steelback going to get a root onto Jez's, but he stands right in front of Reckless. Be able to keep that one safe. And the Nuke Duck is not so lucky, a little isolated from the team. He does burn Flash, but the power's unleashed already, and he can't get away from that. 3-1 now. Caps is on this Syndra.
Them be some sticky balls, my friend. You cannot flash away from them. Once the ultimate is out, they will chase you down and they will kill you. 1 and 3 now in the middle lane, and Nuke Duck, he loses his life once more.
Okay, so Nuke Duck on the Lucian has had a little bit of tough luck when Fnatic have eyeballed them all together as a team. This has opened up the Dragon for Fnatic, so they'll be able to knock down towers a little bit easier. And you got to think, right after this, top tower down, mid tower down, where do we go? How about the bot lane?
Yep, they're now grouping up as a 5-man unit. They want to try and force a fight. TP is available for Cabochard if he wants to join the fray. But so as he's going the long way.
Yeah, he is, and he'll be coming around the other side. Has himself a Cataclysm, but Joko, Vander, Steelback here to try to mount the defense. Unfortunately, no minions, and it looks like Soaz has run smack dab into Cabochard, who turns right around with a Flame Spitter, but this tower's already gone. Fnatic are flexing their muscles here as Joko wants to take the fight. Cabochard throws down the Equalizer, and Steelback opens up the curtain call, but a Glacial Fissure is going to force Vitality back once again. And as 5 members, Fnatic are standing strong.
And Fnatic continue to come out on top. They get themselves the tower, they get themselves the additional summoner spells out from Vitality, and it's just Vitality struggling to be able to respond. They had Cabochard down in the bottom lane. They wanted to try and dissuade Fnatic from getting near the objective, but Cabochard couldn't get close enough because Soaz was in his way. Joko couldn't really land the perfect ultimate because Fnatic were just too dispersed, and Steelback is not strong enough that they could really win fights at this point in the game. So Vitality constantly being put under pressure, really struggling against Fnatic as they move into their half of the map.
And this is so nice to see Fnatic making these plays together as a unit, not trying to play the crazy side lane game, and just doing something refreshing because their old style that they used to draft towards all the time, it got exposed at Rift Rivals. They bring in something else out of the playbook, and it's working so far.
Yeah. Reckless says, you know what, I'll meet you halfway. I won't play full meta, but at least I'm grouping with the team, you know?
Kind of meta.
The Sivir is working out so far. Let's see how it progresses throughout the rest of the game. He has decided to go for the Essence Reaver, so he'll have that extra bit of cooldown reduction, very, very valuable when you're looking at wave clear for the Sivir, but also it gives you that crit, the the added cooldown reduction you get and the mana regeneration you do to assist with the poke means that it just complements the Syndra very, very nicely. So Fnatic right now, they're in a good spot as they set a vision around the Rift Tower.
Yep, starting it off here. Once again, the Fnatic gang, 4 members strong, as Soaz backing in the mid right now is actually going to stop that one, but Joko's incoming. Let's see if he can get something done here, using himself as bait, but he's getting slowed up by Jezz, trying to be chased off. They managed to get the Rift Herald smited down, picked up by Broxa. Let's see what they can get done with it here, as all the outer towers are down. They'd be looking for inners. Reckless actually going solo to the top, so we are seeing a little bit of that throwback style.
Hey man, he's got to clear it. He's got to get that gold investment.
Old habits, you know?
It's just important that he regroups with the team. There is enough wave clear from Cats right now to hold the wave.
But it is very clear what style Fnatic are playing towards, if it weren't obvious from the Sivir pick, because Broxa goes the protection route, right? The Knight's Vow is on. He's going to be able to secure some health and extra stats onto Caps, onto Reckless. However he chooses, he's obviously been all over the map this game. Fnatic are playing with a global mindset.
They are. And the early lead that they've been able to accrue has been very clean from them so far. Definitely more of a development from what we wanted to see from Rift Rivals. But let's see how the rest of the game progresses. The big criticism that I've had now for Vitality for a few weeks is the fact that they're just not proactive. They just sit there and they wait for something to happen. And yeah, they're great at punishing the enemy's mistakes, but they don't try and make any plays of their own. And they have Sejuani, they have Tahm Kench, they have Jhin, they have Rumble. They have so many tools in their kit to just make stuff happen. But will they? Because if they just continue to let the game go the way it is, Fnatic will slowly bleed them out. 0 towers have been taken, 0 dragons on the side of Vitality. They do still have that scaling aspect of their composition, and as they approach that 2-item mark, I want to see them try and make stuff happen onto Fnatic.
Yeah, now they've got a little more tools to make it work. The Leandry's Torment picked up, of course, and Steelback for his part also on the Essence Reaver into the Zeal. Where he goes with that, we'll have to see, but we do want to see them being a little bit more active, trying to take the fight to Fnatic before the lead gets out of control. It's good you mentioned that they do punish mistakes well, but it's worth noting that they've only gotten wins against teams that are on the other side of the standings right now. Fnatic, they're still at the top of their group, despite Rift Rivals. This is a team that's been hard to beat in Europe, and now Joko finding out the hard way that Fnatic like to roam together this game. On the hunt, popped, and so is the Glacial Fissure. Means he is going nowhere. Reckless on a roll. Now Soaz being found out, turns around, forces the flash out of Vander with the Cataclysm, and here comes the Rift Herald.
Oh, Joko, you may be playing as the Fury of the North, but you have nothing compared to the Fury of Fnatic. They have full vision control over your entire topside jungle. They had the Rift Herald too, and they're making their way to the back.
Oh, I like this. Use the Rift Herald as a bait. While the Baron is going down, Fnatic 22 minutes in. And here we go, Cabochard Vander looking to come in. Of course, Joko not around, so they couldn't really stop the smite from happening anyways. And now they're going to turn the fight on with the Baron picked up. They melt through Cabochard. Nukeduck trying to make a play, but he's not going to be able to get anything done. Bopped into the wall by Broxa. Jezz and he are right on top of him. Reckless is going to help Caps finish that off. A double kill for the Syndra. 9-1 in kills, and we're only 22 minutes in.
Beautiful play from Fnatic, utilizing that vision to get the pick, to translate it into an immediate Baron, and now they're looking to break into the base of Vitality. This is swift, this is clean, this is utter domination coming out from Fnatic right now.
This is fantastic too, because this reminds me of a Fnatic that I particularly enjoyed way back in the day when a lesser-known player named Huni and Rainover were on this squad. They would do this 22-minute Baron, and the teams had no idea it was coming. This time they had bets hedged a little bit, but look at this fight. It's fantastic.
Well, it certainly helps when there's no jungler to get in the way as well. But the way in which they just immediately turn around on the fight, demonstrating their ability to just force things, because they have the Sivir ultimate, they have the gap closer from the Jarvan. It's extremely easy as the enemy approaches, especially if they're split up, to just collapse onto a single person and obliterate them. And that's exactly what they did to Cabo. He didn't have the Zhonya's ready. Now that Fnatic have hit those item spikes much sooner, they're feeling much more confident in trying to fight these 5v5s.
And they've been able to get the kills onto the right carries. Reckless, he's got 2, he hasn't gone down. Caps, aside from getting that mid lane death earlier on, he's been pretty flawless as well, and that's because the team is rallying around him. They're protecting him well, and they're choosing their targets well. The experience of Fnatic shining through.
And I feel like we're seeing a difference, right? Because now Brox's early pressure didn't have to be spread thin across all 3 lanes. He wasn't trying to save everyone, because Reckless and Jezz had a confident bottom lane. They had the Sivir Braum always pushing, always being ahead in the 2 versus 2. So Brox could be like, right, I can focus all my attention helping out the middle lane. I know the bottom lane is fine. Soaz is Soaz. He'll just hold his own. And that means that Caps did not struggle against Nuktuk. He now has a 2-level advantage. Yes, he couldn't do much against that big dive, but aside from that, as you rightly said, he's only got 1 death this game. He's done exceptionally well, and it's all thanks to the support that Broxah has helped him with and the leads that he got Fnatic early on in the game.
I mean, we have been praising him quite a lot, but in all honesty, I do have to criticize Caps because he is the #1 feeder on his team.
He is. Yes, he is, in fact, the #1 feeder on his team. Perhaps he can redeem that as Fnatic look to break into the base.
All right, well, all the Rift Rivals teams were looking to come up pretty strong in the European LCS. Fnatic looking to do the same, and Vitality pushed back into their own base here as 5 members trying to hang tough. But this Goldie's getting out of control. We're at 10,000. Let's see if they can turn the fight right now as Jez is caught up, stands behind Broxah. Looks like they're going right on in once more, but no, they're going to turn their attention right around as the curtain call comes out. Reckless a little low, but Broxah Caps body blocking all of the shots. Tom Kench is incoming, but Broxah says, get the hell out of here, and Fnatic disengage.
But you're now seeing the team fight power of Vitality's composition. Joker with the ultimate. The amount of follow-up damage from the rest of the squad is immense, and it's something that Fnatic have to respect. This time round, they couldn't get themselves any kills, but next time, Fnatic, they won't have the same number of summoner spells, and they might not be so lucky.
Yeah, they're going to have to watch it out, and you see the difference in items from the last time they were starting to fight, as Nuktuk, of course, on that Black Cleaver and Steel back on the Rapid Fire. But here's the fight again.
But you can see he lands the ultimate down onto Reckless. Even though the ulti doesn't stun him, the slow helps, which means that he has to just run through this entire Rumble damage that is just burning him away. So Caps gets forced back, Reckless gets forced back, and Broxah's just left a body block, as Soaz couldn't really impact that fight at all. So he tries to go mid, he tries to put some pressure down, but the reality is it was a big teamfight win for Vitality.
Yes, indeed. Despite not getting any kills on the board, they were able to push Fnatic back, and that's going to buy them some more time. But they desperately need objectives. As you called earlier in the game, no dragons, no towers. They've still got none, as Fnatic are still knocking on the front door.
So an early Warmogged coming out from Joko, very similar to what Ambition did over in the LCK. Does give you that additional bit of tankiness. Doesn't give you raw stats, but I think it's fine for a Sejuani simply because of the passive that gives her those armor and magic resistance. So just stacking health synergizes very nicely with the Cinderhulk too, and just makes you that beefier front line to just soak up a lot of damage.
Yeah, and the regen too, right? Your sustained fights, they're happening all over the place right now, and that can mean the littlest difference if you can come right back in and take the return. Now we'll see what Vitality can get done. They were eyeballing that mid tower, but they have to watch down bot. Soaz is herding a line of minions in. Fnatic are still not giving up anything.
And Fnatic, they're just waiting to see if Vitality are ever so slightly out of position once more. The Sivir is fantastic for catching targets out of position. And with all the deep vision that Fnatic has once again invested into Vitality's jungle, Fnatic, they're having full control. Reckless, so he's off on a side lane once more. He has to be careful because he doesn't completely see what's going on with that control ward in the blue buff brush of Vitality, but he knows that Broxah is around. Instead, he's just going to use that gold to go back. And oh my word, look at the items that Reckless now has.
Oh boy. All right, and he gets himself a ward. Like to see that.
That's not like game Sivir, boys.
Yeah, 3 items right now and a half with the Zeal. Yeah, that's going to hurt. And not just minions.
Definitely that team fight damage is going to be scary, but can he even get the team fight that he wants? Because the last one certainly did not go in Fnatic's favor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that they really layered a lot of their damage, a lot of their CC. I mean, Cabochard, despite going 0-2 in this game and generally being bullied in the lane, he's had some really clutch equalizers and, you know, an inch away from being a successful kill.
Also some bad ones.
Yeah.
We've got to call it all
evens out, right?
But I do want to say that Cabochard has played the laning phase rather well. Now that Double Knight's Vow has been completed for both Jez's and Broxah.
A lot of protection.
So that is indeed a lot of protection for both mid and AD carry.
Not the only one, though, too, because Vander, he has his face to the mountain, right? So, like, Nuktuk, Steelback, Cabochard, he can really give them a little bit of extra oomph to survive in some of those fights. Fnatic, not a whole lot of other objectives to take because they've knocked them all in a little early. 28 minutes. Still trying to march down a lane, but it's just hard to find because Vitality keeps showing force wherever Fnatic show up.
Fnatic is simply just maintaining control over mid and top, making sure that they're constantly pushed in so that they can hold the vision in Vitality's half of the jungle, because Baron is spawning soon. Their goal is the big purple worm, but the only way they can do that is if they're constantly forcing their way down these lanes and keeping them pushed towards Vitality's half of the map.
But the last time they did the Baron, it was without an opposing jungler Would they start risking if they do get pushed in lanes? I think the Dragon seems to be a more
good stun.
Joko, he gets a stun around the backside. They're trying to pincer on Fnatic right now. Caps, Proxa, Jez is all locked up, but where is all the damage? They get him knocked back as Vander has to swallow up Joko. Nuke Duck, meanwhile, dueling it out with Reckless, but he's not taking as good as he's getting there. Soaz moving forward as they try to get Steel back, but he's flashed away. Reckless manages to finish off Vander, and Vitality are scattered to the winds. Cabochard taken down. Fnatic, the second wind was incredible. Down goes Joko, and it's time for the Baron.
They managed to get another Baron without the jungler there. They find the perfect fight, and Vitality looked so promising at the beginning. Everything looked like it was going to come together, but Fnatic get the turnaround. So just look, Joko gets a great ultimate, but the follow-up just isn't there. The Braum shield is blocking so much, and the TP only just comes in now. Rumble ultimate nowhere near as effective. Reckless on the sideline is just zoning so many members of Vitality from committing onto Caps, and with all these ultis gone, that's when Fnatic go for the re-engage.
Yeah, it seemed like really chaotic in the second half of that fight. Vitality seemed like they thought they were going to have more damage than they were, and I really got to question Vander's choice to swallow up the Sejuani, because that was still a half-health tank when Nuke Duck was in the front line. I
just want to give praise to Jez because I think he blocked so much damage with that shield, kept Caps alive for so long, and Reckless was just freely DPSing on the sidelines. He wasn't focused at all, and you can just see that with the damage output that both were able to achieve.
Yeah, holy moly, man. Okay, so Fnatic, 12 kills now to 1. A massive gold lead. Earth, Wind, and Fire, they're looking forward to September. This team is eyeballing Worlds for sure. And now Joko trying to get a couple of wards down as Broxa clearing them away, and it's full control for Fnatic. 4 members hanging around this mid. Soaz lead the minions up in the top. Vitality just keep getting so close to finding good fights, but it's just not enough. Fnatic moving down the mid lane.
But remember, when they found that good fight before, it was when Fnatic was sieging. Let's see if Vitality can do it again.
Oh, it's a bigger lead than it was before, but Joko does have his ultimate. He's able to get a knock in to Broxa. Let's see, Cabochard throwing out the Flame Spitter.
Whoa!
Now he stopped up the Scout of the Week. They're taking some serious damage right now. Reckless flashing forward to finish off Nuke Duck. They want to end the game right here, right now. A double kill for Caps and an explosive finish for Fnatic. Oh baby, a triple. It's only Vander to defend.
Massive team fight win for Fnatic. They completely obliterate Vitality, and they're looking to take game 1.
One Nexus turret goes down. Vander making a show of resistance, and Fnatic hoping to pad a few more stats, but it is all over. Opening up on this base, 32 minutes into this game, 16 kills to 1. Game 1 in the books, Fnatic are back.
Very clean game from Fnatic. Very, very, very clean game. Such subtle shifts in their pick and ban. Going for the Sivir down in the bottom lane. At the very least, giving them a winning matchup, which means that Broxa could focus his attention towards Caps, towards Soaz, get them leads during the laning phase, and then once you have these early advantages, they group up as a 5-man unit and they just constantly punish Vitality with superior vision control and the utilization of Reckless's ultimate to just chase down a target and kill him. Really good team play, really good understanding of where to be on the map, and just a really impressive performance.
Stellar execution from Fnatic, and in all honesty, it's looking like Rift Rivals was a much-needed wake-up call for them to diversify their strategy a little bit. Speaking of, surely what Yamato is talking about with the Vitality squad backstage at the moment.
Yeah, Vitality, they drafted, I think it was a fine composition. The big thing for them was that they did fall behind in the middle lane. Nuke Duck really did struggle up against Broxa and Caps, let's be fair. So you can't really hold too much against him. He did his best to come back into the game later on, but his impact was just minimal, and I feel like that Braum mitigated so much of his damage output. So with him falling behind, Vitality didn't have the damage. They took too long to scale, and the gap in the gold was just too big for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it was a little unfortunate, and we saw them try to make some of those proactive plays, especially early on. I mean, the of note in the mid lane play onto Caps was good, but they just couldn't get enough damage out to keep those sustained fights going, even when they were able to push Fnatic back out of base. I don't know. I don't really know what I need to see from them other than just a little bit better execution to not fall so far behind.
I think that their options are to go for more of an early game focus comp. If they want to try and match Joko, then if they want to try and match Broxah, then maybe you go towards something like a Lee Sin, give Joko something that he can try and make plays early on with. But again, I don't think there was any real issues with the composition. I think there was mainly just a lot of execution errors that went heavily in favor of Fnatic in the early game.
We'll see if Vitality are able to change it up for game number 2. Now, Fnatic got the win in number 1, so let's check in with the analyst desk for a closer look.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, Fnatic, they give us all an answer. If they're back in form, at least they get one game victory. And in terms of have they changed their style? Well, Sivir was the AD carry, which is not canon, but do you guys consider that as a huge departure from how they've played? Did you see Fnatic playing the way they always like to play, or how much differences did you see?
I mean, they didn't really have to play any style. Like, the game was just over at like 20 minutes, so I don't think we can tell too much from this game, but I do think that they're more controlled, and they actually like acknowledge how to achieve priority and which lanes to play around early, and don't let mid lane get behind.
Don't let mid lane get behind, because that was what Vitality was doing. They had a bullseye on that mid lane of Caps. We're going to take a look at a couple of replays. Kosku, can you explain to me this matchup? If Lucian or Syndra get behind, how dreadful is that then for the team?
Yeah, if Syndra gets behind his matchups, it's going to be really, really doomed, because Lucian has like basically perma pressure on her and can do whatever he wants to. And if it's the way around, that means that Syndra will one-shot him after one item, and she can do whatever she wants. So that's why they were like focusing mid lane really, really hard.
And it took them actually 4 people to kill him for the first time. And you were saying how Caps is actually a bit inviting when it comes to mid lane pressure, because he always plays very far up and very risky.
Yeah, he plays really aggressive and relies a lot on his movement. So if he doesn't have vision and you gank him when he's playing aggressive, then then he can die, you know. So, but like he was actually playing safe back then, and he still got dived because they came as 4 men.
Yeah, they did. And in the end, as you said, it snowballed out of control because Fnatic got ahead early. You were talking a bit about the Sejuani. If you take a look at picks and bans, first off, what do you think of Sejuani overall, rising in priority? And secondly, what do you think of her against this composition and in this composition?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Sejuani. I think the champion itself like gives so much potential mid-game and late-game to actually just win the game, because every engage is going to land unless you're Xmithy. And like, it's really easy to actually like just controlling the game, and no other champion besides Gragas in the jungle can actually provide that, so I really like the champion. What I don't like is that they don't have a lot of active melees. What I mean by that is that like Rumble and Tam, while they're like melees technically, they both don't auto-attack in teamfights, so they're both like spell-based, which means that Sejuani is relying on herself to actually proc a passive, which means that the CC chain is harder to get in, and I didn't like it against Braum. I didn't like it against Gragas. Like in the first rotation, I think the amount of melees that are there kind of tell you that you're not going to get the engages that you want.
And further on in the game, it was also difficult for them to get the engages, and obviously Fnatic was very far ahead. Let's take a look at one of the team fights, and there I was still keeping my eye on the Lucian, because we had been singing Yukdog's praises and he still had a good game, but how much can he realistically do in a fight like this, Kosku, when they're already behind?
Yeah, it's really hard to do anything as well, because the engage was, I guess, fine, but like here you see he's focusing Sivir, and the rest of the are just kiting back, and then he will just get one shot if he does anything, so it's really hard to do anything here.
Yeah, Sejuani also can't really get in there.
No, Sejuani can't do anything. Like, the thing is that at some point Lucian basically relies on like being able to 1v1 other champions in team fights, but if he can't even like run on the AD carry and one-shot him, or on the Syndra, then like the game is pretty much over for him, and he's not going to have any impact anymore.
I actually didn't like Sejuani in this comp. I felt like, because they were playing so much around mid lane, and Sejuani wasn't really, she wasn't, like she's scaling up, you know. So early game they were like not that scared for Sejuani as supposed to be for another champion.
You don't think it's as unreliable ganker or
I think so too, because you need to get close and hit your Q, and Syndra can just eat her away or something, and you're safe. You don't have to do.
Yeah, we did see Vitality. Obviously, they couldn't get that reliable ganks off mid. So when you're Vitality in that scenario, if you went mid like 4 times and you can't kill him, do you have to change your plan, or is that still a fine plan to go for if that's your only goal in the game?
I mean, honestly, like just alternating it and just saying, hey guys, it's not working out mid lane. We should maybe just play for priority and then like rotate off of the mid lane is fine too. I think it was almost overkill, and it was way too telegraphed at some point. Like they obviously had double ping bots around mid lane, which means that like you can have people coming from both sides. But what they could also do is like just have Lucian roam off. And I think after the 15th time, I think you should really just like change your focus and maybe just like dive the J4 or dive the bot lane or whatever it is.
Yeah, we'll see if they change up their strategy for Game 2. It was a bit of a snowball on Vitality by Fnatic. They are looking to strengthen their position at the top of Group A. Game 2 is coming up after the break.